I am. Hopefully, you had a great weekend or a strong start to March. Bear with me momentarily. You Zoomites always get here early. I love it. And takes us a minute to get going over on YouTube for them to say we're good, but they're saying we're good. So let's get started. All right. No one's home in my house today, so I'm kind of hanging out up in my kitchen and getting after it. Hopefully, you read today's email that went out. That's what I want to talk about as we establish our dominance in our marketplace, as we monopolize your marketplace. How do you go about doing that? What do you got to do to monopolize your marketplace? What do you need to do? Well, it starts by having an amazing product, right? So we're talking about establishing. Last week we talked about establishing ourselves in a town and then going from there and establishing in another town. And you scale by building additional people, right? By planting seeds, by being, as Jesus said, be a fisher of men. He taught some fishermen how to go out and change kind of their vocation from being fishermen to fishers of men, and then training up and teaching people how to grow and mature in their faith walk, right? Well, what are we doing? We establish, we fortify, and we expand. It's really that simple. So if you're going to establish a marketplace and you've got the goods, if you will, you've got the goods, you've got the best product for funding. And if you read today's emails, we talked about how important it is and what we can do with that message. So, leaders, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I want to make sure we're all looking at this the same way. That number one, it starts with our root, because you can't establish greatness until you're agreeing on the message that you're establishing. The message the message we have is business owners are rock stars. They're the front line of capitalism. Without business owners taking risks, becoming entrepreneurs, we don't have employees. Without employees, we don't have income. We're like a third world country, dependent on a government to give us money. It's entrepreneurs that create businesses, that create jobs, that create upward mobility, and that create opportunity for everybody. And so Ford Motor Company didn't start as Ford Motor Company. It started as a guy with an idea, right? Every company you work for, or I worked for in my time, started with a guy or a girl that had a desire to start something, which became large and has thousands of employees now. But they all started as an individual with an idea, no different than you in your garage deciding to market new tennis shoes. Nike at one time was just a guy who ran track. Right. So let's not lose sight of that. Business owners are rock stars. Not all of them have integrity. I'm not saying that, but they're all rock stars, meaning they create something. That's part one. Part two, they don't have advantage. In fact, they're at disadvantage. Most business owners never make a profit. They most always fail. Okay. So they're at a disadvantage. Employees can't fail. They can get laid off. Business owners can fail. Employees can get fired, their company can close, but business owners fail 80% of the time. Fail. Lose their business, lose their house, lose their income, lose their confidence, lose their relationships, lose time with their kids. Anyone who's ever built a successful business knows you pay called a family tax, meaning you don't get to go to some of the sporting games because you have a business to build, or you got to be at the restaurant Sunday morning, and so you got to be there to work, or Saturday morning. So there's a family tax, right? The park in your town, people get to hang out there a lot. Business owners don't get to hang out at that park much. Once they're successful, they can. But 80% never get there. So 80% pay that family tax, pay that confidence tax, pay that relationship tax, pay. We at DAC value them. We at DAC say we got to serve them. We got to give them an advantage. They're not looking for handouts. They're just busy building their business. So they're not thinking of all the different funding companies. They're not thinking of all the payment processing things. They're not thinking, they're strategizing. They're trying to run their business. We can come alongside like a consultant and help them. So now, Business owners being rock stars, most don't make it. They pay huge taxes. I'm not talking financial taxes. I'm talking about other currencies, like I said, family, confidence, relationships, all kinds of other things they pay a price in. All right, credit scores, they've eaten it. So, unfortunately, then most can't get approved at a bank. Banks are fantastic, they're amazing. Banks are wonderful once you're eligible for them. They can come alongside and help you in amazing ways. They'll help you build a stadium if you're a city. They'll help you open 4 new factories in other countries, and you can get $100 million and 50 million and 20 million. And they're amazing once you're eligible. But until you're eligible, they can't help you, business owner. So business owners are rock stars. Most don't make it. Banks can't really help most of them. They're great, but not for the average business owner. And the number one reason business owners fail is what? Lack of working capital. They believe. Now, obviously, some of them have to modify systems and they don't know that till they get the working capital. They try things and go, wow, I got to do that differently. And so, but for the most part, it's lack of working capital. They say, self-claim. Banks can't help them work. So, folks, what's our product? Now, alternative funding from revenue being your collateral rather than real estate started in about 2012, 2010. Certain credit cards started doing it, giving you money in advance and taking some of your future sales. So it started then as an alternative to bank loans. Business owners have loved it. Here's the problem. The industry is amazing. The people who sell the products aren't amazing usually. Many of them are unscrupulous because you can mark sales up when you got a desperate business owner. You can add 20 points to a loan and make it. They allow you to do all kinds of things. There's companies out there selling data to competitors all the time. Our industry, unfortunately, has got a couple hundred lenders in it, and I'd say 80% of them aren't integrity based. They're short term, trying to make a buck quick on the backs of business owners, not helping the business owners, on the backs of the business owners, right? And so there's a lot of great, though. There's about 25 to 30 real good revenue-based providers who are integrity-based, doing billions of dollars in funding. They do it the right way. All the other ones come and go. They send out emails, hey, we'll pay you 18% on every deal you get. And they say stuff like that. And then they get a bunch of people and they're gone 2 years later. They're gone a year later. They recruit a bunch of defaults because unfortunately they're way overcharging. The agents don't care. They got paid, right? So this is what the product is now. Revenue-based funding isn't the best for all of them. Most of you know this, but some of you don't recognize the product yet. The product we have is fuel for business owners, but the right fuel. Because Bank Breezy came along to say, hey, wait a minute, we could become the funder, but then we'd be promoting just our fund, like all of our funders. And OnDeck is amazing. They're just amazing, but not for most businesses. Rapid Advance, owned by Rocket Mortgage, they're spectacular, but not for most businesses. But some they are. Aren't you glad we got both of them? And you got Vox Lending. Vox Lending's great for a lot of businesses, but not most of them, but different than these two. And Incredibly, right here out of Michigan, another great company, fantastic business, but not for all these people, only these people. So our platform, guys, if you're a business owner, you don't have time to apply or even know all these people exist. Some of you are hearing these names for the first time. They don't advertise on TV, only OnDeck does. Rocket Mortgage, billion-dollar company, they average their mortgage business. They don't average their business funding. The only way you know is if someone telemarketed you. Otherwise, you wouldn't know about these businesses. So we come along and we say, hey, we know about them. And we are always looking at new ones. We're always checking out because sometimes someone will leave. Someone left OnDeck to start Giggle. That's how we learned of Giggle. We're always listening and learning and seeing if there's a better alternative because it's always improving. But the Bank Breezy platform, guys, gives the convenience back to the business owner where we have the benefit of 20 applications without the inconvenience of 20. We have the benefit of approvals without the inconvenience of all the declines. We have the benefit of the best approval without the inconvenience of making sure it's a good one. Business owners don't have time to cross-verify. We cross-verify. So now when you've got that product, not to mention the payment processing and the healthcare, those are add-on me too. It's salt and pepper. They're condiments to the beautiful burger. The beautiful burger is Bank Breezy. DAC started it. DAC is partnering in it. You guys get it for free. Everyone else has got to pay $30,000 a year to represent it. Why do you think that is? Because we don't want people representing it except DAC unless they're serious and big enough to help all of you in DAC because they help spread the news and bring the news. Now, here's the thing. You guys are the first movers. You guys have competitive advantage to monopolize your marketplace. My buddy around the corner from me here owns I want to say 9 Culver's restaurants now, maybe 10. When he started a few years back, he bought a Culver's. We never heard of Culver's in Michigan. I don't know if you have Culver's where you're at, but Culver's is a very good fast food restaurant, a little higher end, and they charge a little bit more, but the food is real good quality. And we now have one in our backyard. And so now we've tried it. Well, he now built one, then another, then another, then another. Why is he doing that? Because he's first mover. He bought into Culver's before anyone knew what Culver's was. Invested a lot of money. What is it, like a $500,000 to $750,000 per location? You got to put up real money, and it may be a bust. Burger King just closed up the road from my house. Chick-fil-A is moving in there. Why Burger King closed? Because they weren't doing well. Why? I don't know why. But there's a Burger King 4 miles up the road. So you can get to the point where you have too many markets that are already dominated by DAC agents or by Bank Breezy. You guys are the first movers. The Bank Breezy business platform didn't get started promoting hard till about 2 months ago. Prior to that, we led with business funding, one-stop best offer, business funding. We didn't even talk Bank Breezy. Now we're talking the Bank Breezy brand, and you guys can establish that in your marketplace. So today's email was all about the competitors we have aren't banks. They're our friends. If they can fund someone, they should fund them. We shouldn't, unless the person can't wait. Now, there's other types of funding out there. I'm not talking about the different types of fundings that exist. I'm talking about small business working capital loans. They can't get it at their bank usually. Their credit card isn't enough. They don't have the credit. They can't get approved. They can't get the real estate refi on their mortgage. And so they need us, right? Well, then revenue-based funding is great, but unfortunately, alternative funding is tremendous, but most of them aren't. And most of the time, you're going to choose the wrong carrier. Bank Breezy does all that work for you, so you can't choose the wrong carrier. You're going to get the right carrier, right? And now, because of our relationship with our providers, we have some, I'll just call it leverage. It's called experience, integrity. They know that if we submit them a deal, it's not going to be run by someone who's stacking them somewhere else, getting another loan with another provider. We don't allow that. Not only do we not allow that, we make sure the client understands fully the pricing before they accept the offer. Most agents want to hide it. Most agents want to, hopefully they don't read page 4. Hopefully they don't reach page 9, where we're a complete opposite. We lead with the painful part right away. Here's what you're getting. Here's what you're going to pay back. Here's the cost per day or week. I mean, it's pretty simple. Here's 100. You're paying back 138. You're going to be paying this much a day or this much a week for the next 9 months. I mean, we put it right out there. You don't have to read the agreement to find it. Most people go, we can get you 100 grand. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, and it's awesome. We'll get you 100. We'll have it tomorrow. What are you going to do with it? And they get you off the cost and just start talking about other stuff. It's shifty. So with all that said, what are we establishing here, guys? Don't lose sight of that, because if you lose that, you won't establish your market. If you don't understand that, you won't establish your market. Someone else will believe it that much, the way I believe it, and the way most of you believe it. Someone will believe it that much and say, it is my responsibility to make sure every business in this intersection knows about Bank Breezy and David Allen Capital. Even though I don't know those business owners on that intersection, I need to go in and care call on them. I need to go in, not cold call, care call. I'm coming with caring as my motivation. I'm going to come in and I'm going to inform you. I'm going to meet you. I'm going to greet you, and I'm going to inform you about Bank Breezy platform. And that's what I'm doing. My job is to get the word out. And I'm going to make sure this intersection here, aim small, expand rapidly. I'm going to make sure this intersection is Bank Breezy DAC Blue. They know about it. They know about it. They know about me. And I'm going to establish a team. And we're going to make sure this whole vicinity of my town, these 70,000 businesses in this 30-mile area, those 70,000 are all going to know about DAC and Bank Breezy, not from a TV commercial, because I'm going to establish an agency base here who are all going to be making mid six figures. And we're going to dominate and monopolize this market, not dominate in negative, monopolize it. And you know what it's going to do? It's going to skirt away all the predatory telemarketers. They're going to be skirted away. How do we do it? How do we do it? Number one, we believe everything I just said. If you don't believe what I just said, as Carl put up today in his goal setting, you got to believe it first. Now, there's words out there. Some people say you got to set goals so big they're unbelievable because that's what it takes to get you to go to work. Others say you got to believe it. I say it's a combination of believing it, but making it so passionate that you got to do it because it's irresponsible not to. It's like a disservice to mankind if you don't get the word out. I believe that much. When I talked about that personal tax business owners pay, I've paid that tax. And I've paid the tax of elections. And I've paid the tax of sporting events. And I've paid the tax of marriage. And I've paid the tax of not seeing your kids as much as you'd like. And I've paid the tax of credit scores. And I've paid the tax of being a business owner and riding that wave in my early years. I've paid that tax. I've paid the tax of losing a company because you didn't own 51%. I've paid the tax of losing a company because you don't own 51% and you brought on investors and their motives are to flip it and earn. They're like flipping a house. They're not growing a house. I've paid the tax of business owners and I've learned what not to do. And I'm sure that I'm going to make other mistakes, but I've paid the tax. So that restaurant owner, I know he's probably got marital troubles while he's breaking even. I know he's bringing that stress home. I know he's missing out on his son's volleyball or basketball or football game or daughter's cheerleading event that they have to go away for the weekend and daddy can't because daddy's got a business to build. Guys, if you don't believe this, find a career where you believe this much. Find something you believe this much because then you don't need goals. You wake up and it's your purpose. You need goals, but you don't need goals 10x to get you out of bed. So do you believe the business owners deserve working capital? Do you believe they deserve the best offer working capital? Do you believe that banks are amazing, but not for most businesses who aren't eligible? They're amazing for checking accounts and they'll help them cash checks for their employees and they'll do all, they're great. They'll get them debit cards. They're fabulous. Partner with the banks. Monopolize your marketplace by educating the banks on revenue-based funding. You're not competition. I can't help one of your clients, Mrs. Banker Manager or Mr. Bank Man. I can't help one of your clients who's got collateral and wants 20 million bucks. I can't help them. But I can help that transmission repair shop whose lift just broke and they need $32,000 tomorrow. They can't repair a transmission and you can't help them, Mr. Banker. I can't help them. That's a true story of a client I got in Milford, Michigan, whose transmission shop lift broke, and the president of our local small bank referred them to me because they could not help them. They don't want to say no. They want to say, so how are you establishing your marketplace? In the email today, we said you need to reach out to businesses every day. You also need to build a team every day, and you also need to establish yourself in that community. They need to be informed. Chamber meetings, get active in your chamber, get active care calling, walk through the rooms, walk through the places, canvas as a customer, say to yourself, I'm going to go get a coffee in town at 1 o'clock. And I'm going to stay downtown until 3 o'clock, just introducing myself to business owners. It's networking. Same thing Carl said to do at the boat show. You can go network in your local town. Network at Chamber of Commerce meetings. Get active in your chamber meeting. Every business owner over there will tell people about you. If you're there every single month talking about your Bank Breezy funding platform and how bank business owners are rock stars and banks are amazing. If you need big money, bank's your dude. But if you don't, you need alternative, but not just any alternative, because there's not one best for everybody. And there's not one, even this month may not be the best one for them next month, but our funding platform, we do all that weaving for them so they can have the convenience and they can get the best offer. And they need to hear that over and over and over again. So when they got a friend at dinner talking about, I need some growth capital, they don't say, oh, have you heard of alternative funding? They say, hey, I got this guy, Dave, that comes to our chamber meetings. They've got a funding platform that's second to none. It connects you with all those funders that you need to go apply at, but you don't want to have to go apply at 20. They're the ones that are going to help you. If you can get it at your bank, you should. But if you can't, don't worry about it. This guy and this company will get it for you. And they need to be saying that. And they won't say it if you're a closet business owner, if you're playing it small, if you're not telling anyone what you do, if you're not networking anywhere in the community, if you're not establishing yourself in the marketplace. Now, once you do what I just said, you see how easy it is to scale outward? Once you're doing that, you're making six figures on your own fundings just on referrals. And it doesn't take a long time. It takes frequency of conversations. It takes frequency of conversations. When you've had 1,000 conversations or spoke to 1,000 people through chambers meetings and all that, okay, you've got yourself set up where you're making six figures. Unless those 1,000 were salesy and you just were trying to hammer a commission and they didn't like you and they won't tell anyone about you. But if you've established yourself with 1,000 conversations and they know who you are and they believe you really look out for them and they can feel the same passion that I'm giving you right now, you may do it differently. But do you care about business owners as much as someone who's had to live that life? Maybe not. So that's why I'm sharing the story. So that as you live it vicariously through me and the pains I've experienced, maybe I had to sell a company because I couldn't get $400,000 for a nutrition product. We were growing too fast. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it. So it was either stop selling the product, tell people we're sold out for 3 months, or be acquired. My bank couldn't help me. DAC would have got me 400 grand in 4 hours. That's fact. That's painful to me. That business was my baby. 8 years of work and I had to sell it. 8 years of work and I had to sell it. Now, fortunately, it's still alive where I sold it to, but I don't control it anymore. The product's still being made. Good thing I take it every day. But unfortunately, it's not my baby anymore. It's put up for adoption. So it's painful when business owners can't get the funds to keep their businesses growing. They either lose the business, sell the business, or sit still, stagnating in the business. None of those are positive. None of them are positive. Stagnate, sell, or close, not good. We come along and we go, no, 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 no. We got another option. It's called fuel, baby. Grow it. We'll fund your growth. As you're growing, you need more. We'll give you more. As you're flowing, you need count us in as your funding source. Let's go. That's the message you have. That's the reality of what you've got. And establish it now in your business. We're going to be beating this thing in more. That restaurant owner up the street, until I educate him or her, guess what? He or she is susceptible to that telemarketer. And guess what? That telemarketer is going to make as much as they can on that sale. They're going to get them the best offer they can earn on, best offer they can get them to accept. And oh, believe me, they'll have a markup of another 4 points on the closing funding call. And they'll tell them they can approve them. And I'm looking at your file right here, and it's BS because I get them every day. I get them every day. Just reaching out again. It's spring. We got an offer ready for you to go. How can you put 100 grand to use? You don't know you can give me 100 grand. Quit lying like that. Ready to go. I just need you to send me last month's bank statement and we'll get it written up for you. That's who's calling your restaurant owners in your town. That's who's texting the restaurant owners in your town. That's who's texting the florist, the landscaper, the roofing company, the spa, the nail salon, the photographer. There's no business exempt from this. They're on mailing lists and they're getting hit. So whose job is it? If you knew, and I'm going to end with this, if you knew that every travel agent in the world marked up that Delta flight $200. You know, when I was just getting out of college, I had a part-time travel agency. And the average markup we put on a cruise was $450 a person, because back then you couldn't buy them online. So the average cruise was marked up $450. I always felt guilty doing that. So I'd tell people they're going on their honeymoon. I'd say, listen, you're going on a cruise. I'll get you the best price. I don't need to make 450 on each one of you. I don't need to make $900 to set up your cruise for you. All I'm doing is ordering the tickets for you. Now you can do it on Travelocity for how much? Zero. Well, guess what? You got agents in our funding space who are marking up these loans 20%, 18%, and the business owner doesn't know a thing about it. And they're charging them upfront fees that are crazy. And they're lying to them on the phone. We got to protect them. So I'm here to clean up the industry. Hopefully you're here with me. We'll pay you $500,000 a year to do it. You go out there and get your own clients and establish some marketplaces and help them get clients, make overrides of $100 to $150 each on a small funding and big funding, a lot more than that. I was looking at some of the overrides on Friday. People make 800, 900 bucks as an upline on a funding, on one funding, and they haven't gotten a funding themselves in a year. And they get 10% of someone's funding or 30% or 40%, as a DAC 4. Or they're amped up because they've earned it. Like someone like Nick DeHame, who's amped up from getting clients, and then he has someone enrolled, get a funding. And as those people know, in the comp plan, when you're a DAC 4 and amped up, you're making 80% match of the people you've enrolled's commission. You think you don't want to establish people? We do that to help get leaders to establish markets. So if someone made 1,000, Nick would make 800. If someone made 2,000, Nick would make 1,600. If they only made 200, Nick would make 160. The bottom line is that's amazing income because he's producing clients himself. So you earn more on your people in your team if you're producing clients yourself. We don't make you get clients. You make 10% either way. But if you're getting clients, boom, we bump you way up. It's called performance-based. So we care about you. We care about the business owners in your town. Hopefully the feeling, the urgency we have to help the business owners, you feel that same urgency that we have toward you. So establish, you got to be actively promoting, and you got to teach your team to actively promote. But I'm going to ask you all to take this message and echo it to your team. The email that went out today, if you did nothing else but look at that email and read it and say that to them. I just went into a longer, but you've got 4 paragraphs right there that show banks are great, but not for everyone. So alternative capital was started, but they're great, but there's not one best for everyone. So you need the platform, makes it convenient, gets the best offer, gets the most approvals. That's the way to do. Now we need to monopolize our marketplace and get rid of all the telemarketer garbage that's out there. And if those, you can't be a cruise agent anymore and mark up 400 a cruise. You can't, because a portal came along called Travelocity. Right? So now travel agents, sorry, you don't get to gouge on cruises anymore because people are uneducated. And we're going to help get it where salary salespeople, you can't gouge on business owners with their fundings anymore because Bank Breezy exists. You guys will earn a fair commission, but it won't be a flipped way out of the stratosphere, crazy high commission that hurts the client. All right. That's what we got to establish. Bring the message to your team of our product first. I know we're setting a foundation. The church is built on a foundation. A high rise is built on a foundation. We're establishing a foundation of our establishment right now. We got to establish markets, and we got to know what product we're establishing with. And it's the platform. And then the next week, we're going to talk about the opportunity that you have that you're establishing in that town for the agents. I already talked about the Culver's guy, my neighbor, who's now, I said, hey, do you need investment? He goes, no, we got investors throwing money at us all the time. I'm good. I'm like, you don't need any financial partners even? Silent? Nope, not interested. Okay, cool. He got in early, got in smart, and they're happening all around, right? You guys are getting in early on the DAC establishment of your business. Some of you are going to look at this and go, this is my thing. This is my thing that's generational building. This is my thing where I can have 40, 50 markets that I'm overriding. And when they do tap in mortgages or tap in other things, whatever they decide to tap in the future, right now it's business funding. And for the foreseeable future, that's our focus. When I build this out and I have 40, 50 markets, hey, my one market makes me high 6 figures. 2 markets, I'm making high 6 figures on my own market, plus another 100 grand on that one, and 100 on that one, and 100 on that. All of a sudden, you got 20 locations. I was sitting down with my wife yesterday. Sunday, we were going through some financial things, and we've got a document if I die, right? It's a succession plan. And it's bank accounts and life insurance policies and DAC ongoing and different things, right? And I was showing her the different residual incomes we have. And said this you got this here and this here and this here and this here and this here, and she's known it, but she it wasn't on paper like this, and because it just comes in, right? And I said, and she just looked at it, she just marveled at it. She's like, this is really, everybody should do this, have multiple residual incomes. I mean, it's, if something were to happen to me tomorrow, she doesn't have to worry about income. It's not because of DAC or my partnership here. It's because of past stuff. Now, DAC has only made it better. I said, look at what your DAC rep position would make you. Look at, if you just earn the overrides that I'm making in DAC right now as a rep, this is your rep income. Wow. I know. And of course, that motivates her to want to talk to more people, and because she sees the lifestyle. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week, is the lifestyle when you establish as a leader here. So we talked about today how to solve the business owner's need. Now we're going to talk about how to solve your neighbors and your uncles and your aunts and your own need next Monday, when you've established a market, what that does to your lifestyle. It's time to start thinking like an investor. It's time to start living like an investor. It's time to like start living like someone who's got a passive income. You know, I'm using a tripod right now, my laptop, and I'll take your questions in a minute, sitting on a box. This game's on my table. I've got a game. It's called Cash Flow. And Cash Flow is a game that costs 180 bucks. Some of you put your thumbs up. I can only see 4 of you on the screen, so it's neat. But Cash Flow is a game written by or created by Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote the Cash Flow Quadrants and Rich Dad Poor Dad. And he created a game. It's 180 bucks for this game. So it's not cheap. Totally probably cost $12 to make it, but nobody else did it. It wasn't Warner Brothers or Hasbro. I know Orlando's got his hand up. He's a Cash Flow fan. I'm I'm going to show you this. I got Cash Flow and 2 Bibles. That's my tripods. Okay, so this thing right here, this game, how to get out of the rat race. The whole way you win this game is having residual streams of income. Residual streams of income. It's not about you want something to play for your kids. Get the residual income instead of the game of life or Clue. Get Cash Flow, or at least talk about it. At least let them read the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrants. Read it. And of course, my kids laugh at me because, Dad, you want to play the game, you want to play Cash Flow. It's a longer game, but I tell you what, life lessons, because it does set yourself up. And you see, having a job is wonderful, but having cash flow coming in, residual streams of income, and the book itself says the number one, and he's not a network marketer, but he's been brought in by every network marketing company to talk, because his book says the most economic way for someone to generate cash flow, residual stream of income right now, is the network marketing business. It's the most. Now, unfortunately, 95% don't make it there either. So we've taken away that and said, let's make it where 40% make it instead of just 5%. And let's make it where the other 60, even if they don't get successful, they don't lose money. We didn't make money on their backs. We help them, we educate them. If nothing else, they leave with a glimmer of hope, or another door shut that they're not going to pursue that, or they're not going to pursue that. But we didn't take their money. We didn't benefit off their loss. Some of you sent some testimonials. Thank you. I appreciate it. Keep them coming. If you can, please send testimonials. We're going to be utilizing them. Let's go to Orlando Darden. He's got his hand up first. Orlando, my buddy, how are you?
David, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, my friend.
I'm doing outstanding. First off, thank you for this incredible message. It's a great way to start the week. It's like the coach giving the team the game plan. This is the game plan we're gonna run, and here's how to do it. Second, I do have to weigh in on that email. I have to say, the emails in the past have been good. This is great, from good to great. And the reason it's great was anyone taking that email has a full summary of how to win a DAC, what the funding is, the marketing is, and everything. Most of the questions that are asked, if everyone will take the time to read that email, plaster it, laminate it, it's a great Cliff Notes. It's a great reference sheet. And I want to thank you for taking the time to organize that. You really don't have any questions almost if you study that, have that at your side, and use it. I'm definitely doing that as I speak. And the last thing I want to say here is your conversation about you and Marlo sitting down and going over the finances. It's one of my big whys. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That drives me a lot. That by being here, being in DAC, doing the business, building the residual income, that allows me to be more than just a memory. It allows me to build residual income for my children's children. So I just want to thank you for that additional inspiration. Thank you for that platform. My three greatest reads today were Bible scripture, a motivational quote, and your email.
Amen. That's
Amen.
awesome.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
David.
Gave me
Thank
chills,
you.
buddy.
Let's
Thank
go.
you. Appreciate you, Orlando. Thank you
Appreciate
so
you,
much.
David. Thank
And
you.
the team, we used to do the emails as someone in the team would do it. And we decided this is I want to be the one writing the emails because I want to communicate the way I want to communicate to everybody. The team is willing to help. But thank you for that because
It's a great Cliff Notes.
we got absolutely. It's a little training each time. Yep. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you, David.
PK, who sent an amazing testimonial. How you doing, PK?
Good morning, everybody. I'm doing great. I just wanted to give you an update and then also comment on some of the things that you were saying about who's calling who and stuff like that. First, I wanted to say I went to a 7:30 roundtable meeting with a bunch of bankers, and I'm listening to things going on in the current market, and so they now are all doing 100,000 business line of credit, but it is all business assets. In other words, it's not unsecured; it's all business assets. But they brought it back. They brought back that 100,000 line of credit. Here's the good news, so that nobody gets discouraged. When I made that video about the branch manager and being in business banking and stuff like that, I will tell you the number one thing that a branch manager does every day, all day long, is that when they're calling business clients, they're calling the wrong ones. They're just like in, flight, or what is it called?
Fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight mode. That's all they are, because they got to get a home equity loan, they got to get checking accounts, they got to get CDs, they got to get mortgages. So when it comes to the business, when they're on the phone, they're calling the wrong people. So yeah, they got this 100,000 line of credit, but I guarantee you they're going to call the wrong industries. So it is really your job to meet these branch managers and educate them about David Allen Capital and what it is that you're looking for, and especially what you're looking for on the revenue-based lending, because they just will think, oh, yeah, I got one. He opened up an account. He's been in business for 2 months, and he only put, $600 in, and he needs, 10,000. And they're automatically thinking that's what we at David Allen Capital can do. And we can't. So you've got to give them the education. And that's what I do at the roundtable, because sometimes, they're shooting me emails. Hey, I got this person for you. Hey, I got a referral for you. And then I've got to tell them, hey, I'm going to call them and I'm going to make a courtesy call to them and give them other options or solutions, probably that the branch manager didn't even do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're doing that. So you've got to become friends with these branch managers and these personal bankers, because the personal banker, they've got a goal. They might have to make 50 calls, within an hour, and be able to service customers that are walking in the branch. So they're in that mode also. So I wanted to give you guys a heads up on that and give you an update on what all the banks are doing as well. But it is collateral based line of credit. It's
Amen.
back, but it's all business assets. And the majority of the business clients they don't have the kind of assets. So
Or the
just want
credit
to,
score, right? Or the credit score.
well, credit
Because it's
score
a high
has to
credit
be
score, right?
725 and above.
Yeah. So if someone's got a 725 and above and they're doing the revenue, we can get them an offer that's pretty spectacular. Now, it's good to know the line of credits for business owners. I'm glad they're back at the branches, some
Yeah.
branches, right? Because most business owners, that's all they know, unless they're being telemarketed to by our space, the alternative capital space. All they know is their bank. So it's good. Some of them will utilize that line of capital and it save their business. So that's awesome the banks are doing it. It is collateral based, as you talk about. And what PK is saying, guys, gals, we talk about this. Sometimes I'm not complete when I mention meet the banks. Of course, educate the banks on the underwriting criteria, right? Because they don't want to refer, you don't want egg in their face either of them saying, you telling them you can help them, they send you someone you can't help. They want to know what is the revenue requirements, time of business, industry served, terms, repayment amount. They need to know sometimes it's only 6 months to 2 years. 2 years is long. You're rarely going to get above 18 months. The average is 9 to 12 months only. When you educate them on our underwriting and you got the quick reference sheets or the drop cards, the connect cards have all those details on it. If you educate them on that, I like to leave them with cards and say, just give them my card. Just give them my card. I've found that most aren't comfortable with that. I don't know if it's because it's too much of an endorsement and they just want to have a conversation. Not sure why, but I found that people usually don't hand the cards out or even want the cards. They want the knowledge. It's another tool they can share, help take care of the customer. Carl with a K, another great testimonial. Thank you, Carl. What do you got for us today, buddy? And thanks for that goal setting post today.
Yeah, sure. I think Orlando said most of it, most all of it. This was an amazing Monday morning. What a great way to get fired up. Your passion that's usually amazing is like on another level this morning. At least
Hmm.
it is through my eyes. And yeah, that email has already been transferred into a Word document. I'm just moving a couple little things around. It's going up into my team Google Drive today so they can always reference it. Something that I should share with everybody here. Get with your team on that email and tell them copy and paste that thing into a document and print it. Don't 2 weeks from now go, oh, where was that email that I got 2 weeks ago, and spend 45 minutes searching through your inbox? That's too valuable. Copy it, paste it, get it into a notepad, a Word document, whatever you use, and save that thing. That, man, it was $1 million email this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, buddy. Carol, appreciate your encouragement and all your wisdom, buddy. Thank you. And we go to Regina with her hand up. How you doing, Regina?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Not on video. It's too early for me. My hair is not
Yeah,
done.
it's all right.
I am not
Welcome, but never
getting.
required.
Okay, good. I just started, or I just signed up about 2 weeks ago, but I haven't received the email that everyone's talking about. So I really like to get the email, but I don't know how long it usually
Yeah.
takes for when you first get
Okay.
started.
It's an automated email we send out to everyone in the team. Now, unfortunately, right now, we don't have a connection from Join to our email server, which is a different server. We manually move them over. So
Okay.
I'll make sure maybe you weren't added to the list yet, but if it's been 2 weeks, that's unlikely. So I would say check your spam folder first.
Okay.
And then if you could, Regina, put your email in the comments to us directly. You can send
Okay.
it to Morgan Raymond. Morgan Raymond works in support.
Okay.
I don't see Tyler on. Tyler helps manage that base, but if you can just put it to Morgan Raymond directly, and then we'll make sure your email is added to the subscriber list. And assuming you didn't unsubscribe, and we send it
No,
to
I
the
didn't. No.
use when you joined.
Yeah, I searched everywhere this morning. As soon as you mentioned email, I'm like, I didn't get an email. So I went to my junk email folder. Nothing's there. So,
All right. Well, you give that email into chat right there, and Morgan will forward it to you, and then we'll make sure you're added to the list. And anyone else who's joined in the last 2 weeks, I know they do it weekly, add to the mailing list, but in the near term, fortunately, when the learning management software goes live, it'll be automated. Your name being added to our email service. that goes out because they are separate companies, so that we have to manually upload those. That will be integrated automatically with the learning management software once that goes live, which is, we're getting close on. So, okay. Thank you, Regina. Thanks for the kind words. And did you already say, I don't want to end this, Regina, until you've gotten it to Morgan. So I'll talk for a minute, assuming you're putting that in, and Morgan, just maybe give a thumbs up when you've got it. And, that way you could forward the email off. Okay. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Regina. Great job, guys. Love it. And anyone else too, if you joined in the last 2 weeks and you you didn't get that email, I'd be surprised that we're not adding everybody, but it could just be an oversight on our parts. I apologize. So go ahead and send that email into support and we'll forward it off to you. But great education. I love leadership saying laminate it, put it in your Google Doc, print it out. I see Robert already had his printed out, share it, read it, turn it into a training, but more importantly, live by it. I mean, it's activity creates aptivity. And one of the things that we say in our biblical teaching, one of my mentors said is sometimes you're the only Bible anyone in this world will ever pick up, because most people aren't reading the Bible, right? So how you represent Jesus is their only representation of Jesus. They only know what they see in social posts and news and if you say you're a believer. So your testimony and your walk matters more than what anything else you say or pass on. So I would say the same thing to you. You could laminate this, you can print it, you can Google Doc it, you can email it out like I did. You can send it to everyone, but if you're not living it, it becomes forgotten pretty quick. It gets watered down and it loses its impact. This is not a marketing pitch. This is a philosophy, a principle, and a way we believe about our business. That is establishable. Now we go out and become fishers of men and women, of course, and we establish those markets by attracting people, mentoring them up, attracting leaders already, but some are anointed just to be leaders and encouragers and helpers and supporters and servants. And some are analytical, and the whole body, this finger hasn't done anything for you today, but it helped type the email earlier. And we're all part of this DAC community. We all have a different role to play. And I'm going to be the one talking this time. And some of you shared as well. But the reality is all of us play a role in how we raise this up. We're a Rocket Mortgage in the making. We are. The day will come when everyone in your town, when they think of business funding, is going to think Bank Breezy. They're not going to think the telemarketer that's calling them. They're not, just like you don't think travel agent now. You don't think travel agent when it's time to book. You think Airbnb, largest hotel company in the world that owns 0 properties. You think technology. Once in a while, you think an expert if you're doing group travel or something. But for the most part, you go to a website and you do your thing. And that's what we want every business owner out there. The day we have competition is not a bad day. It just means we're getting better and better, and we're starting to make this standard. This needs to be the standard when it comes to business funding. And you can be the one to help McDonald's become what it is. The McDonald's of business funding is DAC, but we need some more Ray Krocs.